Zoshia. It's kind of dumb that they didn't. Why is Zoshia a one-time battle? Why not add a tempered version of him? I'm pretty sure I'm HR 69. I genuinely was not trying to clickbait in my title. Well, I mean, I was just being stupid, but I think. Wait, am I actually 69? I am. I mean, I was being funny, but it is actually my HR, so better stop playing here. We might do some more co-op with Lobos again. Potentially. I mean, the thing is, at this point, I don't really feel that challenged by the monsters necessarily. I mean, it is kind of easier to like learn the monsters, I guess, when you're playing solo, I guess is the only thing, but honestly, the Palico doesn't even really give you the true solo experience because you're still like the Palico still just takes aggro half the time. Oh, look at these little guys. Oh. Truck outside my house just fucking scared the shit out of me. Yeah, I know you can leave the Palico at the base. But like, it's a pretty big part of the game. I wonder if in the speedrun you would get rid of the Palico. Probably. I imagine. Because I think the Palico is mainly just like support, and it's not necessarily... Did I do all content already? Yes. Kind of, yes. Hold on, I need to wash my hands. My hands feel like... My hands feel weird. I don't like it. All right. Just lick them? Yeah, I did, don't worry.
Hey.
What was I doing? Me and Gemma were just hanging out together, you know? What can I say? All right, let's make a switch axe. God, this thing looks so cool, man. This, like, scythe. I really have no idea what, like, the best type of weapons are at all. You need 5 hunter symbol 2s for this shit? Jesus.
All right, let's see what we can come up with. Hello.
Sure. Dragoon file. I don't understand how this shit fucking works, man. It's so confusing. I don't get it.
Hello.
You need to make both green? I don't know, man. Sure, there we go. All three green. Full green.
Look good.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, but the thing is, like, I don't even know, dude. I don't know if Elemental is good in this game. I genuinely have no fucking idea. Do I even have charge attacks? Do you have charged attacks as a fucking on Switch X? I don't even know. So it's like confusing to. Does critical element work for the Switch X? I mean, I have 20% affinity. Wait, it should be even higher. It should be 32%. Wait, what? I'm confused.
Fit you to a T.
Does it not show the proper? Oh, there we go. 32%.
Yep. Okay, let's crack a few ancient mysteries. Done all
Dude,
right.
it's so expensive to upgrade these fucking things. It's crazy. I want to see if I can make some ore. Hold on. Would it be better if you could kill NPCs? Okay. You can put 3 different elements to make a weapon with no elements? Yeah, I know. Wait, where's my login bonus? 10 megapats. Thanks, game. Oh, wait, we want to go to the base camp. Oh, do we have any... Oh, rapid morph? Okay. Ooh, that's a good temp... Excuse me. It's a good tempered Arkfeld investigation. Hey, Tento, thank you for the 2 months. Strong charge attack from the Switch Axe, but I don't know if it benefits. Well, critical element has to do with critical strikes, right? Not charge attacks. But, I can see if we have rapid switch. I feel like we do. What is the skill called? Could have sworn I had something like that. Wait, maybe it's equipped on something else? Quick switch. Boom. Yeah, 30% quick switch and slugger. We have a double slugger jewel. Yo, these are pretty good jewels. Like a dragon to boost my dragon, affinity, quick switch, plus double KO.
Hello.
So these are my current skills right now, chat. We have critical eye 3, dragon attack 3, rapid morph 3, slugger 2, weakness 5, flare 3, part breaker 3. We also have wide range. Huge. We are using
Got something in mind?
we're using a the defense boost talisman, or like the divine blessing talisman. Would probably be better to get something different for this, but
Hello.
so I could try to work on getting flare 5. Maybe we should. Where do I get a guardian secret feather? We could actually make that pretty easily. We already have level 3 part breaker from our armor.
Done already?
Does anyone know where you... I actually killed some of these guardian secrets before. I think it was in the ruins of Wyberia. I don't think it was low. I think they're in... Oh, wait, there's a low rank sub quest for them?
Right.
Hey, Brog boy.
Let's have another hunt with no surprises today.
We probably need feathers from both.
Shipments come in. Hope you find something useful.
That's alright. Oh my god, that's sheath speed too. So I don't really know how switch axe works. I know... Wait, so... Axe offset rising slash? That's a parry? I assume? I mean, anything with offset in the name I assume is parry, but I don't know for sure. Is there any sort of... Okay. Maybe... You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna go to the training room.
Oh.
Hey, Johns Fox, thank you for the 4 months. How do you feel about it in comparison to the previous games? It's fun. I mean, it's you know, the game just came out, so in terms of content, there's not quite as much.
I like.
Anything catch you?
But yeah, I mean, there will be in time. It's not like they definitely plan on.
Look good? Look good? Now that's a good choice.
Wait, did upgrading that thing?
Well, what can I do for you?
Wait, I'm confused.
Got something in mind? Hello.
I I'm so confused. Wait, it can be upgraded again, but does it do anything? I'm so confused. What do you mean level 1, level 2? Dude, my charm is already level 2, bruh.
Hello.
Um,
Done already?
Surely it goes up to 3, obviously, right? Maybe I just can't see the next one because I don't have the...
Sure.
Because I don't have the materials? I don't know. I can't upgrade it though, I don't have the
What are
supplies,
we
so...
making today? Hello.
I need to kill Arkveld more. And if upgrading that talisman gives me another skill level, we could take off the flare gem on my chest piece and put something else on. Granted, I don't really know what we would want to put on, but...
Hello.
How does this skill work, chat? It just says when certain conditions are met, but what are the conditions? Plus 50% affinity? Oh, you get damage and affinity against monsters affected by poison or paralysis. This would probably be pretty good on the longsword that I had before.
Go forth, touch the demon inside me.
$180 damage taken or 5 minutes quest time. That seems pretty easy to activate. No?
Hello. You know where to find me. Yes.
Do I have any Arkvelds with a gem? I do. Another Arkveld gem. Another Arkveld gem. Look at this tempered Raydao, dude. It's got a lot.
I'll be waiting here. Yes.
I kind of want to go to the training room, but I'm also tempted to just send it. Lobo said he wanted... Oh, it has multiple stages. I see. I see, I see. It just, like, activates slowly throughout the hunt. Gotcha. I know Lobo said he wanted to do some co-op, or he said he was down to do some co-op for Manhunt. Alright, let's ask Lobos if he wants to kill some monsters.
Every free meal and a max potion?
I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do Switch Axe today for a bit, I think.
Guess that's all I have. Yeah, I'm down dist. I just finished my Arkveld set. Yeah. I'll hop on the dick sword.
He's hopping on the dick sword.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm gonna try Switch Axe today.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna turn you down real quick. I don't know if it's because you got the right mic now, but now you're loud.
Yeah, I feel like my mic is just all over the place sometimes.
It's all good. I was doing some long sword, but I think I'm gonna try some charge blade, which
Oh, nice.
that's gonna take a minute to remember.
Yeah, well, I can help if you have any questions.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
using Charge Blade for a bit. Yeah, so what do you need to kill?
To help anytime.
Let me see about what kind of charge blade I can make. I'm just gonna throw some.
Okay. Have you made a good talisman, by the way?
Mind?
I've looked at the talismans. I've got flinch free on because I was doing SOS.
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
Anything catch your eye?
Yeah, I keep looking and there wasn't like attack or affinity, so I was like,
So-
oh, no.
I think the one you should get is, well, the one I'm making right now, and I need to get a Arkfeld gem for it. It's the Flare Talisman. It's like,
Oh, flare.
Yeah.
I built the set that has 5 points of flare.
oh, well, there you go.
I'm
I
good
guess you
there.
don't need that then.
But yeah, I saw that on the Arkfeld set and I was like, flare seems really nice.
There's like Part Breaker as well. That one's really good.
True. I was looking
Also,
at
Weakness
one.
Exploit. Is that there's a Weakness Exploit charm?
Yeah, weakness exploit. I mean, agitator is like always good. What's power? Oh, that's like randomly you get attack up from latent power or whatever.
See you later.
Yeah. Do you have any attack gems, by the way?
I have like 2 attack ones, I think.
I have the same thing. That's funny.
Yeah.
I wonder if they almost like just give them to you for free, like guaranteed.
These are so rare. They just.
I got them from the melding pot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of melding, so there's some potential there.
You can make a lot of gems at the melder, dude. It's actually, like I traded like 3 monster parts and I made 40 gems. It was like the low quality
What the-
ones, but yeah. It's
Damn.
yeah, you should go check it out. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I probably have a lot of stuff to spend there. Let me see what charm I want to make. I can maybe agitator. Let me see what skills I have. Yeah, challenger charm. See how bad it is to upgrade. Oh yeah. Whoop. I just got an Uthduno water gem for my last piece of armor, and then I need a Guardian Rathalos ruby. Okay.
I might have
Anyways.
an investigation for that.
Right. Let me see what my charge blade status is. Oh, that's right. I needed stupid ore. I was running around to get fuchsium and gratium with very little luck. So outside of that, I think someone said there's a geologist, or yeah, there's like some pants that have rank 3 geologists for more ore gathering. Like, I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff to do, so.
Oh yeah, you start with all that stuff actually. It's like,
What?
yeah, I made a loadout for like gathering and mining and stuff. It's like the iron and leather armor that you start with.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Yeah, so you can just make loadouts for it if you need to. But if you have the material retrieval, you shouldn't really have to go like collect stuff anymore, I think.
You can retrieve Gracium and Fusium.
That you have to go to the smelter guy for, I think.
Oh, you can do that. Hold on.
Or
I'm
you need to
here.
dismantle your Ardian weapons.
Oh.
So you can like make weapons and then just like dismantle them for more. Or
That's interesting. I do have a lot of parts, especially the like rank 6 parts and stuff. So let's see.
trying to set it up so I can mute my mic with my controller, chat. It's be a bit more comfy, I think. Bind it to my back button on my controller.
Anyways, what did you need to do?
I need an Arkveld gem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slap my sword and shield back on for now.
Just setting up so I can mute my mic with my controller.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully my
Yeah.
mute's working. I don't think I've been.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good.
I need to get a foot pedal like you.
It's nice.
Yeah, actually. I do have a like an edge controller though, so I just have the paddle, one of the paddles as my mute. It's kind of nice.
Nice. I got somebody who's got an Arkveld gem investigation. So, you want to do that?
Yeah, sure. I also have one, but yeah, I'm down.
We can do multiple.
Sure. Why not? Is it tempered? Just a normal?
Good question.
I guess we'll see.
We'll find out.
That somebody posted a tempered Rathalos. Do you need that?
Only if it guarantees it. No, actually, I don't. I don't need it. I think it's
Okay.
Guardian Rathalos I needed for a gem. Yeah, I was. Sir Rice had an investigation for the Uthduna gem, which I needed.
Understood.
Oh, should I join like a lobby as well? Or
Yeah, we can make a lobby. The link party will invite, so.
is that only for 4 people?
Yeah, it is right now.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to like talk to Alma, right, to do lobby stuff. Private lobby, I guess.
What's up, Abbas?
Not that private.
Hey, Lionel.
I'm just showing the code, but here I'll post it in the Discord. It's a lobby ID.
Let's see. How do you join a lobby ID? You have to go
yeah,
to the main menu?
Alma. Go to Alma. Oh wait. Oh yeah, Alma, and then lobby search, and then lobby ID search.
Understood.
All right.
Yes. I'll be waiting here. Yes.
I actually have a pretty good Arkveld one investigation that I can post.
Go for it. Go for it.
It has 12 gems from it, so.
Oh wait, right. Let's see. Ramus just posted theirs.
Oh shit.
Oh, did you post yours too?
I posted mine. I figured. Well, I don't think his has. I don't know what his stuff is. I guess it's.
Regular Arkveld with 4.
Is that just like target
regular-
loot?
A supply shipment's come in. Hope you find something useful.
Bonus rewards are 4. Yeah, like regular loot and then 1 gem.
Gotcha. I mean, I can leave this one. Oh wait, this one's in the arena.
We can do
The
both.
one I posted. Okay, I mean, if you guys haven't started, I'm already in mine, so you can join and then we can do his
okay.
after. My bad. What's up, Barefoot?
Oh, can we get sneak attack off the bat? I think so. Yeah.
All right, Chad. I have no idea how this weapon works. Oh, the switching is so fast. Yeah, the switches are quite fast.
Can I steal that one? I think I can.
I can just keep swinging? I don't know how this weapon works, Chad. You want to like buff up the sword, right? I think my sword's buffed up. It's fine, guys. I got this. Not the fucking fishing rod. Why? I'm pressing up. Is there like a follow-up to that? Hold R2? Okay. Oh my. Ouch. This guy's not even tempered, dude. You can charge the move if your sword is full. So is the sword icon the yellow or the red? I think it's the red, right? I don't know what the yellow is. Is that like my sharpness or my... Shit. I'm not sure how the offset attack works.
Thanks. That helped.
Oh, right, that's the one where you... How do you charge up the left side of the bar? Like the gauge? Sorry, I only did like one fight with Switch Hacks, so I don't really know what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. It's okay. Does it have different levels of charge? Holy shit, this guy hits so hard. No? Okay. I am like so... I'm dead. Dude, I'm like trying to figure out how this weapon works. I'm not very good at Switch X.
Arkel will fuck you up. He's...
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, he freaking hurts. Yeah, I like hyper armored through that attack and it just obliterated me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that move has hyper armor, chat. So how does the offset timing work? I thought I was dead again, to be honest. I really thought I was gonna die. Can you should be able to hear Lobos. We're just not talking that much. We're focused. Oh, you can't offset every attack with the Switch Axe. It's only like certain ones. Nice.
Don't forget tail.
Where is it? Oh.
Yeah, over here.
Fireworks. How do you do that? I want fireworks. Full release has armor. Yeah, I see. A lot of gems. Artillery.
Decos from it too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, damn. I got a agitator gem level 3.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. Rip the HR-69. Yeah, I need to do the training room. I mean, I think I kind of understand a little bit, but I'll go to the training room real quick. Oh, wait, wait, what was that? Emperor Doshiguna? Oh, Rathian gem. Switch gauge, charge, and combo. Okay, so that's the yellow gauge. Okay. The doubles. Oh. Oh, that was a follow-up. So I can do... Element discharge is the one that attaches. So then I can do... Wait. Wait, Y plus B hold? Oh, you can reload it. The Heavenly Flurry actually restores a little bit. The reloading. See, I don't know. Oh, wait, why? Oh.
All right, right, what's next?
I'll do whatever. Sorry, I was just
Oh, no, you're good.
in the training area.
Oh, cool. Take your time. I still need... I want to do some Charge Blade hunts, but I got to get frickin' Gracium and Fusium.
Hmm.
Doing a
Normal
little bit of
element
mining.
discharge. Yeah, I see. Full release move. So that's when you do Y plus B. And then you do what? You hold RT. This one? So is there any follow-up to that? I mean, I guess you can do the norm, like there isn't any, like you can do the normal moves out of that, but just RYB? Wait, what? Triangle after to rebuild page. Okay. I see. So what, but like if you're not doing that move, what is like your go-to combo then? Like, do you want to be attacking with the axe or with the sword? I assume the sword. You switch between them? Well, yeah, because you need them both.
Raymond's saying, did you know you can craft specifically attack gems, but it's only like the rank ones?
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently
did not
you
know
can
that.
choose to do that, but
Charge the sword as quick as possible, then spam full release. Wait, so does the if the sword is buffed, do I even need the other buff then? Is there even a point in getting the axe buff? What does the axe buff even do? Okay. And so how do you charge the axe? I mean, I know you can do is the only way the wild swing into the overhead, the heavy slam? Or is there another way? Or a sneak attack? Does the focus strike? Oh yeah, what? Do you need the sword buffed to hold the axe swing forever? I could have sworn you could hold it. Oh, you have to keep pressing it. Never mind. Okay. You can do a full release slash from a wound attack. Oh, okay. So how do you do that? Or wait, how do I wound this thing? No, I didn't want to break it, damn it. So how do you do the thing? Do you have to be in the sword form when you do the focus strike? Yeah, but I pressed RT. All it did was morph. I don't... do I have to do it like... No, it just... I keep fucking destroying the wound in my... Okay, there we go. I see. Okay, I got it. Or, I mean, I have an idea now. I understand. Okay, thanks, chat. Okay, I'm done with the training.
Okay. Let me get these last couple mining nodes. And then I'm down for whatever, like, farming tempered stuff, like high tempered Arkveld or Gormagala for the Ardian parts, or I'd love to do more Jin Dahad.
Yeah, sure.
Any of that, really. Have you done any of the, like, the Endemic Life collection stuff?
Well, I did every single side mission. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, like
I did.
collecting like the little like lizards and everything.
Well, there's
I
like
had...
a side quest chain to collect those,
okay.
but not all.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think
nice.
I collected like 6 or 7.
Nice. I didn't do it much in World, but I want to with Wilds. Just do it all. But it kind of means less until we have the player house where you can like, put them in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was nice in World. I had a few pets in my house.
Yeah. Okay, let me go back to base camp.
Hey, Lobo said he was busy doing other stuff. All right, it's all good.
Anything catch your eye? Hello. See you later.
Well, if you're down to do anything, I mean, I can post an investigation.
Yeah, we can just like cycle
Well,
things. If you want to do
okay.
Arkveld
Well, we just did Arkveld, so let me
Yeah.
see if I got jumped in.
I've got some. I've got Gormagala. I've got.
All right,
various
we're gonna do
gyms.
Ray Dow, Tempered Ray Dow.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't fought
Yeah.
him in a while.
It's a big, big quest.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Not forgetting anything? Well, what can I do for you?
I heard from the others.
Wait, my loadout's fucked. You know, I kept like being low on potions and I was wondering what was happening and my loadout just had like half the
Oh.
supplies. I got fucked it up
no.
or something. I don't know. The tier 7
Yeah, I
gore
think I
set
saved,
may
like,
be the
max
best for
potions
damage.
Once at
Mm.
0, and I was like, wait, what? What's going on?
Commence
Arkfeld drip is cool, but yeah, I mean, Bastion is nice. I'll take a look at the Gore Magala set. I've definitely got a decent. So here, you guys can judge my gear, but like these are my current skills, right? We've got Critical Eye 3, Dragon Attack 3. We have a Dragon Weapon, Rapid Morph 3, Slugger 2, Weakness 5, Flare 5, Part Breaker 3. So I have Quick Sheath, Speed Eating. Wait a second. There's a camp there. Right? I really gotta like run around the map and find all the good camp spots too. Some of my maps are kind of crappy with the camp locations.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
looks like a good place to set up camp.
Most of the time I just run from base camp, but sometimes it's like the monster's like 600 meters away or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, oh god.
Oh, I need to eat. Perfect time for a meal.
Definitely. I love I can just like perfect block his railgun. So satisfying.
Yeah. Blocking is so strong in this game. I feel like it was a lot weaker in World. Oh!
Oh, this.
I'm okay.
I have so much of the healing dust or powder or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Bring it. I don't bring it, but I have like 100.
Yeah, I have so many too. Oh god.
Whoa! I didn't know this could happen. I'm down here now. Wait, what is this? Is this a...
What is he doing?
Oh, what the? Maybe he's getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, switch axe is cool. I thought that you could just parry any attack though, but I guess you guys were saying it's like limited, right? You can only capture, or sorry, you can only parry certain attacks, right? It's awkward too, because you can only parry when you're in like the axe mode, I guess, as well. Ouch. Can parry whatever. Oh. Oh, I could have done a, I forgot. I can do the full slash off the focus strikes. That stun him for like 1 second. Has a counter, it's RT plus Y. That attack? Not pancake. Oh, nice.
Tail down. Oh. I got so many wounds.
$192 damage. It does more than that. It does like 500 to 600, I think. Oh shit. Oops. I missed the sneak.
He is capturable. Oh, yeah, I was about to flash him now.
Trap set.
I have a trap down, but somehow it's not hitting him. Come here, buddy. Wait, he's immune to electricity. I have to pitfall, don't I? Oh, my mic's muted. I don't think he can be shock trapped. I think he's immune to that.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I'm dumb. You gotta use a
Pure
pitfall.
lightning. That's all I have, yeah.
Okay, I got a pitfall.
Set a trap.
Oh. Well, at least you can pick him back up again. In this game.
Yeah, that's nice.
Nice thing is you can see where the monster's going on the map.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The
yeah,
X.
if you want to...
Oh, yeah, they did that in World as well, I think.
It's like dotted lines. When you like highlight over him, it'll show you like the path he's going.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. Let's see.
We set a trap. The same goes for monsters.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Sick.
Oh, I got a gem.
Ooh.
Oh no. Now the fearsome chat.
The first enemy in the game. Nope.
Oh Jesus. What the?
How do you get the hidden mining outcrop? Hold R2 while you're in the air with the bird, and you can fly onto the location where it is. I want to try to offset this guy. I feel like using the offset on this weapon is kind of hard. Oh, you have a paralysis longsword?
Yeah.
Nice. Is that the Lala Barina? Oh yeah, you got the furry one. Nice. Yeah, that one's so good, honestly.
Yeah, people just recommended the paralysis. Oh yeah. Super nice.
Yeah, that's what I was using like all day yesterday.
Yeah, double Scatacabra. This is bullying. Omega Ball. Yeah.
What a fight.
This thing's a trove of new data.
Switch axe is cool. I'm a big fan of weapons with parries though. So like, the fact that it doesn't have a... Well, I mean, it has 2 parries, but they're kind of like awkward to use, I feel like. Dude, so many rewards.
I got a raid out plate too.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Oh, I got a critical draw jewel. I feel like that's good. Maybe.
Ooh, nice.
It's interesting that like the monsters can be different sizes. Like I wonder what the max like size of the monster can be.
Yeah, they had that in World as well, and you could get like gold crowns for the biggest.
Oh,
Like,
really?
You get yeah. I got like a gold crown. I can't remember something early on in the campaign.
Cool.
Yeah, so another thing to hunt. Oh, I just finished a side mission I didn't even know I had.
Nice.
Shebar.
Yes.
Do I have a Zuwu gem one? Doesn't seem like I do.
I'll be waiting here.
I don't know if I need that gem, but in case I do.
I didn't even know I had Gemma quests queued up.
Oh.
You did all of the quests?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
How many
Like
mantles
the
do you have?
optional ones?
Yeah, the yellow ones.
Yeah, I think I did all of them.
I'm wondering if you had more mantles than I have, because she's
Mm.
been giving me mantles.
I have.
I think the curse one or
Well,
whatever
what
was
can
the
I do
last one
for
I
it?
got.
Yeah, I think the purple's the last one. I'm sure they'll add more, but
Yeah, for sure.
it's nice that the Gilly Mantle is just default now, though. So you don't have to
Yeah,
like
it is
swap it out when you're doing
Mm-hmm.
when you need it for whatever reason.
Yeah, in World you had to like unlock 2 mantles, I think, right?
Oh, like
so
an
they
extra
can-
slot? Yeah, you might be right.
You don't do one early on. Let's see what I needed for Charge Blade again. I know it's the 4, but let me see how close I was to it.
I lost the Zuwu gem quest when I looked away. That's okay.
Refusion. Alright, whatever.
Yep. Anything catch your eye?
Some streamer loot investigations. Listen, I've been like saving them over time. Like the good ones that I find.
See you later.
Oh yeah, I want to go to the forge. I hate that I can't open the map when I've got like notifications on my screen. Like kind of minor, but it's kind of annoying.
Oh, actually, I need the Guardian Rathalos gem, and I have a quest for it. You want to do that?
Guardian Rathalos?
Mm-hmm.
With the gem you said?
Yeah, I have a gem
Sure.
investigation. Let's see.
Let me see if I could smelt any ore real quick.
I've got it.
Oh, I guess I'm already taking off.
What can I get you today?
Did you get the invite for it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I think just doing Arkveld with like a gem quest is really good. You get 3 ore to upgrade the weapon from 1 Arkveld gem. So,
Oh shit, nice.
yeah, it's like quite a lot.
For the Artian weapons, you mean?
Yeah.
Nice. Damn.
Yeah, the gems are like easily worth the most, it seems.
Nice. I don't know how much you fought Guardian Rathalos, but he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, I'll have flash pods at least.
Yeah, I was literally just about to flash him. Oh.
Time to get started.
Huge.
Come
All
anytime
right,
you
whatever.
need something.
No. I need to join Lobos quest, damn it. I guess I gotta go to Gemma.
Yes.
Yeah, Greatsword is really fun. Maybe we could do some more Greatsword again too.
Commencing quest by order of the guild.
You just did Arkfeld and Dow quest, got so much good stuff. Nice. Yeah, there's earplug jewels. I'm here. Oh,
Oh, what?
mounted him.
Oh, nice.
Being permastunned. Hey, Maidenless, thank you for the 13 months, man. This guy. I wish you could, like, roll to cancel this attack. Doesn't seem like you can. Wait, I just... Oh, you can do full release slash out of... Oh, that's awkward. I thought he was fucking dead for a sec.
Stop me!
Yeah, we're doing good damage.
Yeah. Okay, he's not like not tempered or anything.
Yeah.
Weak boy.
Hey, Copacetics, thank you for the Prime sub. But yeah, I've been thinking about playing through Monster Hunter World
Oh, I got
chat.
2 rubies. Nice.
Oh shit. Nice. Another rapid morph. Yeah, I kind of want to, I never finished Iceborne. I don't know though, like I don't know if I would want to start from the beginning again. The problem is whenever I start from the beginning, I feel like I get burned out and kind of
Can't
bored.
raise my rank anymore. I hit 69.
Yeah, that's what I started with today. Yeah, I never did all the Iceborne stuff. I fought like a few monsters in Iceborne, but yeah, I don't know. World seems fun just because. No, well, I didn't say I'm not gonna do RE2. Doesn't have to be only Monster Hunter.
And browse. Take your time and browse. Sure you got enough? Glad I stocked up on that. Selection's not bad.
Man, if you want to use like a ranged weapon, you got to spend a lot of money
Glad
on
I stocked up on that.
on ammo.
Put all that to good
Let me
use,
run to
yeah?
the restroom. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, yep.
I mean, the thing is, Wilds just doesn't have as much content, which is why I kind of want to play World, because it has like so much content to it.
Anything catch your
And it has like master rank and a lot of like really, really hard monsters.
Who doesn't love a little ancient technology? Shaybar.
Yeah, unrequested, I could do something like that.
Ready to get to work?
+5 affinity.
Okay, let's crack a few ancient mysteries. Subar. Ready to get to work?
Fuck it. Like, I probably shouldn't waste my, well, I don't know, it's whatever. Like, you can actually get you can get a good amount of upgrade materials if you just farm like Tempered Arkveld, because you can just put all the materials from Arkveld into like reinforcing stuff, so it's not too bad.
Done already?
We're at 42% affinity.
I heard from the others.
You start from the beginning, Rush. No, I don't need to start from the beginning. The thing is, I have save files in Monster Hunter, so I can just use my save files from before. They'll add content to the base game before they release the DLC. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they'll add like new monsters and stuff just through updates. Like, give this game a few years and it's gonna have like an insane amount of content, but I do wish there was a few more like high tier monsters in the end game. Oh. All right, I'll post an investigation, I guess. You want?
Sure.
We could do another Arkfeld if you want in the arena.
Sure. I'm gonna throw the dust onto my bar.
All right.
Not forgetting anything?
Oh, you know what? I'll do the same. Why not? Gotta put on my radial too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I probably need to figure out my radial a bit more.
Dust of life.
Yeah, I had less of that than I thought. It was the other stuff that the cloud.
Ah,
But I crafted more. So I was like, still got like 50.
nice.
Did you post yet, or?
Yeah, it's posted.
Oh, okay. I accept.
Yeah, I don't know why there's no like tempered Zoshia. Apparently it's a one-time fight.
Oh, let me eat real quick.
It's weird that you can't refight the Zoshia boss. Like a tempered version of that would have been cool.
Yeah, I'm. Someone mentioned that yesterday, and I couldn't even remember what it looked like.
It was like the big like white, like very white monster. Kind of looked like a dragon as well, I guess.
Yeah, like I remember it's the thing on the core, the dragon heart or whatever, the dragon torch.
It was like the final boss before the credits, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I saw that you can SOS flare for it. I guess if people are doing the main story.
Oh yeah, if you
But I
yeah,
guess
if you really
it's the
want to
only way.
refight it, yeah. I want to do Gora Magala more. Apparently his armor's really good too, but
Ooh, nice.
I never
I have
freaking
a
get him.
I have a bunch of tempered ones. So.
Okay, nice. Damn it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how I feel about Switch X.
that?
Like, I was unmuted by accident.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I like the Switch Axe, but I don't know if it's my kind of weapon or not. Do you want to wait for this attack to like fully charge up, by the way, chat? I assume so. Like for the, like when you're holding charge, you want to wait. Oh, wow. Ouch.
I love clashing so much.
Are you using Sword and Shield?
Yeah, sword and shield now.
Nice. This fucking tail. It's like, it's so hard to know when he, like, when the aggro's switching back and forth, you think you're safe, so you just start, like, swinging. You know what I mean? Oh, that was good. Oh. You're okay.
I'm making it. Oh.
Oh, that's not good.
That's easy.
We actually hit the offset there. Dude, I don't know how to fucking dodge that attack.
I don't know either. Sometimes I can't even block it.
Yeah.
Like, the dead angle is weird. Holy.
I'm okay.
Thanks. That helped.
Oh, that did help.
Thanks.
Where is my dust? Maybe I should put that on my main bar. I wonder if I let. Okay, if does anybody in chat know? Do you get hyper armor when you do the charge up attack? Like even if you don't fully charge it. Anybody knows what I mean? Okay, I see. Nice.
got to be close soon.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh. Holy.
Thanks. That helped. I set a bomb.
A bomb. Okay.
I didn't mean to do that. Sometimes I pull out my fishing pole by accident too.
So many things in our pockets. You know?
Oh, am I dead? Oh, I had Moxie.
Ooh.
God's sake.
Thanks. That helped. More supplies have been added.
I did it, chat. I hit the parry. Do you see that? That was sick. Oh no. So you can,
to me, bro.
if you parry, you can instantly go into the charge as well. That's pretty cool. Nice. Get the tail.
What was that?
Do you get the tail?
Oh, I don't think I did yet. Where is it? Oh, it's over by USC.
It's Jover.
No! Fuck! Had a gem on it too. I saw it. Oh yeah, I forgot it was a guaranteed gem quest anyways.
Yeah. Oh, I got earplugs too. Nice.
Ooh, nice. Charge up and crit I3.
You can do the full release raw, triangle, triangle, R2. Well, wait, what do you mean? Like without the buff? It does like no damage though. The problem is so much of my armor has like tier 1 sockets. And I don't have any like, I don't know if earplugs can be like a tier. I'm not sure if earplugs can be a tier without comboing into it. Well, you can also just press triangle circle at the and then go instantly into the full charge or the full release, which I think is faster. Yeah, I don't know if you can get earplugs 1, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's not that many good like level 1 jewels. And the problem is all of my gear is like level 1 sockets, so I don't know. I feel like having gear with better sockets is generally the better play, but
Got something in mind? You know where to find
do you want to do that Gore Magala now?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just running through all my encounters right now. And see if I
Yeah.
can save any.
Oh wow. I got like an insane rewards investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I had one of them,
has.
but it was like, it wasn't like good
And it's
monsters.
16 gems.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
God damn. Let me see what if I have any.
It's kind of nuts, actually.
Got like 5 Gormagalas here. Would you prefer gems or the Ardian materials?
Probably
Well,
gems.
what can I do for you?
Attack gems?
Or, well, like, just a gem from the boss itself, if you have it. But otherwise, it's fine.
Oh, that. Sorry. Yeah, I meant decos.
Oh, okay.
Decorations or
Probably the
Ardian?
Ardian pieces. If we're doing, like, something that can drop it, we probably should just go for those.
Yeah. Yeah. This will be rarity 8.
My tune looks like an edgelord. I wonder how you get more of the like
Get more what?
ingredients for cooking.
I know some are from the trades, like trading items. Like I think, like in the very first town, like they'll trade you their cheese, but you bring them like ingredient or materials you can just collect around the map.
Oh, yeah, because I feel like all the ones I have right now are just from trading.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to
Yeah, I
trade
don't know.
Or
something?
sorry, not trading. From the side quests. I mean, yeah.
Ah, I see. Maybe from. Yeah, let's see the trades. It seemed like almost all of them had like
Somebody wants to
one.
make a
Yeah, there's
trade.
some rooms.
Oh yeah, kunafa cheese.
Cheese, Eastern honey, mud shrimp. And I don't think there's. I think the other items really don't have too much use. So like,
Mm-hmm.
at least.
Oh,
in
it's
most
like the
cases.
treasures can be traded for.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right, I see.
Antimite. I don't know if that's. I don't think.
I don't think that's the ore for.
Okay, it's not. It's not the ore, right? Yeah, that's what I was trying to
It
think.
shouldn't be. I don't think.
Ooh, Wilk Pebble for Mite Seeds. I got a lot of Mite Seeds now. I might start bringing. I know towards the end of World, I got really in the habit of bringing or chugging like the armor potions and the attack potions because they last until you die. So especially if
Wait,
you're doing,
really?
longer
Like
hunts.
armor skin?
In World, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I have a bunch of those. So I've been using them a little bit. I didn't know they lasted the whole time though. That's crazy.
Yeah, as long as you don't cart, I think they last forever.
Ah, I see.
Forever, but yeah, for the whole hunt. I'm gonna craft some.
I need nourishing extract. Wait, what is that from? Am I blind? Can you not make that? It's from Guardian Monsters. Oh, okay.
Hello. Yes,
Can I make somebody collect that?
I can help you source materials.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
The Guardian types, yeah, like the Guardian Rathalos and stuff.
Let's have another hunt with no surprises today.
Okay. Sorry about that. We have a camp that's closer. What about the ancient room?
Damn it. Oh my god. Going down this thing is like
How's Jin Dahad's armor? I don't know.
once you start going down, you go all the way down. And I accidentally turned around at some point and had to go all the way back up and go back down again.
Oh, I see.
We're stealth.
Oh my god. Come on, game. Why did you go back up? Oh, really?
I tried to flash him out of the air. No effect.
Dude, I just parried his roar. That was sick. Oh, that did so much damage. Oh, I'm gaming! Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. You see those parries? That was sick, bro! We did a double counter. Can I not cut his tail? Oh, that was like a bomb on the ground. Oh, I meant to parry that, but failed. Holy sh... Oh, this might not be good. Oh, that was close.
Oh, did you get DC'd?
No. Oh,
Then you
yes.
withdrew.
Wait. Oh no.
I guess you should be able to rejoin, right?
I will try. I returned a title, which is probably not what I should have done. I don't know if that's gonna remove me from the link, but I rejoined the lobby at least, so.
Okay, you're in the lobby. Yeah. Oh shit.
Yes.
We're friends too, so you should be able to join through friend stuff.
Okay.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you
I
go.
think
Yeah,
I'm
I see you
joining.
joining.
Yeah, I thought the monster bugged out. He was just standing completely still.
Ah.
Have another hut with no surprises today.
Maybe should surprise. And let's put them to use.
Slay a powerful monster and save an entire village, and a guy gives you 5 shrimp. Accurate.
Oh, I'm stunned.
That helped.
Nice.
Oh shit.
I messed up. I really wanted to hit his wound, but he didn't want me to hit his
Literally
wound.
what I'm doing right now. Sprinting around and going for the wound.
I should have healed.
greed.
Yeah, I was way too greedy.
More supplies have been added.
Oh.
Off he goes. Go, Zach Brack. Thank you for the 30 months, man. Thank you.
Make sure to grab anything in that train's behind.
Oh. You're messing up the sneak attack.
Oh no!
Got this boss, man. So much stun.
Hell yeah. And
Oh, bro.
Ruh-roh. I ran out of heal.
Oh. Oh no. Don't die.
Uh-oh. Oh, coming.
I'm okay. Just my mega armor skin.
Oh, nice. Oh, it's weak.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if it... Oh. Nice. Close.
Oh, I got a gem. Another one.
Hey, nice. I didn't even see what I got.
Hey, Jack. Thank you for the 4 months, man. Thank you, bud. Ooh, another evasion gem. Poison and critical eye. Potential. Nice. This switch axe, I feel like it does really, really good damage. Feels pretty strong, honestly. Hello Kitty gameplay. Thank you for the 4 months, Leeski. I don't know about that one.
Take it. It's yours.
Oh, so much ore in the festival. Oh yeah, make sure to check your festival shares. Mine were like completely full.
Yeah, no. When I went through the item trading, I just cleared it all out.
Oh, okay. Well, oh, can you get the festival shares there too?
Yeah, at not.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
I've got more of that bad boy, but we could do something else as well.
Yeah, I'm down for whatever, honestly.
Time to get started. See ya.
Your festival shares are almost
got-
always empty?
Temple
Really?
Ritual has
Hmm.
7 gems.
Yep.
It's not bad.
That one. Yeah.
We could do my
That's him by
16
himself.
gem one if we want.
Oh yeah, do that. Yeah, do that.
Who
I also
doesn't
have a
love little
Jendahad
ancient
gem.
technology?
That I saved.
Look good. I'm ready to work.
Oh, sharpness. Oh, wait, so could they go to purple sharpness, potentially? Fuck it, I'm just gonna max it out. Whatever, like, we can get more materials, I don't really care. I'm using this for now, so.
Shavar.
I fully upgraded a weapon. Already in weapon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
nice.
I figured I might as well, since I'm using the Switch X for now.
Let's see. Oh, wait. I gotta see how much stuff I have.
Do you get a full refund when you dismantle them? I doubt it.
I only get
So we're
level
at-
3 right now.
I'm at 51% affinity. Holy crap.
Whoa, shit. Okay.
I have like an expert gem on my weapon though. It's like plus 12%.
Nice.
51% affinity. You get the reinforced mats back? Well, that's
I'm
really
gonna
nice
dump into
though.
the sword and shield, see what happens.
Damn,
Does that increase
okay.
the base attack and stuff? I guess it does from the.
Well, what can I do for you?
Yeah, well, so when you reinforce, you get a random thing, which could be like attack buff, affinity buff, sharpness buff. So I don't know if you get enough sharpness though, if you can go purple, because I think purple is like the highest, right?
Purple was highest in world, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure. But my chat was telling me you get all the materials back from reinforcement
Oh, no way.
when you dismantle it, so.
Oh, that's sick.
Hey, Hoden, thank you for the 60 months. Or at least a good amount back. I don't know if it's 100%, but I said it's quite a lot.
Nice.
You only go purple if the sliver has purple. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see here it's like all white. It's actually good that we got some extra sharpness though, because it was kind of annoying. My weapon kept needing to be repaired.
Yep.
We have such good. I mean, I don't know if the dragon jewel is good, but I mean, it's plus 20%. It gives me 116 extra element. Agitator. Agitator is the one that like does more damage when they're Oh, I posted the mission, by the way.
Oh, okay, my bad. Let me
No
swap
worries.
weapons real quick. And then
Oh yeah, while they're enraged.
Holy, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
You can catch your
it's
eye.
kind of nuts.
You know where to find me.
Yeah, there's attack gems.
Let's have another hunt with no surprises today.
Nursilla and Arkveld.
They issued a surprise. Let's put them to use.
I don't even remember what Nursilla is.
It's the one with the million spider babies.
Ah. I wanted to try to parry that, but I was too slow. Parrying Roar is so satisfying. I should have known better. Ooh. I messed up here. You guys like that parry? Ah! Do it again, I will try. I mean, I was trying to do it. It's hard to parry though, because it's kind of like, it's kind of slow. Oh, that would have been a parry, but I messed it up. Oh no.
No!
Yeah, that probably would have killed me, so. At least it targeted you.
Oh, I get so stuck in my items, man.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Going for the butt.
Let him up. Damn.
Get quick.
Yeah.
Hard materials from Thundercats.
Oh, what's up, Nubis? Yeah, also abbreviates to MHW. Oh, I'm stunned.
Dusting.
Dusting.
Oh, my dust didn't go off for some reason.
I think it did.
No, I still have two. Oh, unless I free milled it.
Maybe it was my cap. Oh yeah, it could be free mill.
That helped.
Where's he going? Underwater combat from 3. Wait, what the hell? Why did I just hear Rove?
sweet prince.
Oh, he's dead.
Captured. Captured him.
Oh, nice.
Drop something.
Poor guy, you were hitting him while he was sleeping.
Yeah.
Bewitched by the past, bound by fire.
I keep hearing Rogue. Are you hearing
What?
him?
Did he just die? Like, what is he?
Free.
I don't know why he was talking.
Yeah. Weird.
Can you sneak him?
Let's barrel bomb him.
Sounds good.
What the?
Oh God. Oh,
Bomb
dude.
set.
Oh, hang on.
I set a bomb. Bomb set.
This is what you do with spiders.
Nice tiny bombs.
Bomb set.
Oh, what the?
I
Mega
got the
barrel.
big
Okay.
boys.
Ready?
Yeah. Get him.
What's he doing? What's he doing?
Getting bullied.
It's like trying to go back to bed or something. Oh my God. What? This spider is broken. Yeah.
He's got. Oh, he's already dead.
I think he's a pacifist.
What a fight.
Yeah.
Full release. Well, I mean, what? That's the best DPS. Dude, I fucking destroyed that thing. That was disgusting.
Research opportunity.
I couldn't even do anything. There's a bunch of, little hatchlings here.
Babies. Yeah.
Gives monster broth. I don't know if we need it, but.
Guess if we ever do need it, we know how to get it real easily.
True. All right, here we go. Insane rewards.
Holy God damn. Almost all of the boxes are full. Oh.
Mind's Eye. Ooh, I got an attack jewel too. Nice.
Yeah. Ooh, Agitator 3. Hello.
Defensive Guard. Critical status. Foray. Challenge. Oh, another Challenger jewel. I wish you could see like how much damage you did.
Right, so we can do that 2 more times,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, we could do it again if you want.
Big gem farm.
Yeah.
Let me replenish stuff.
I heard from the others.
And I mean, if people from chat want to join, we can like put the lobby. I mean, it's so many rewards. Might as well have other people
It is, yeah.
benefit. Well, if any of you guys want to join in chat, just obviously make sure Lobos is in the lobby first. But this is the lobby ID. If anybody wants to get some insane gems.
Safety first, right?
I'm gonna pop a lucky voucher for this.
Is it good money? Or wait, does it improve reward?
I don't know. I'm gonna do it anyways.
Okay.
Why not? We'll see.
Not forgetting anything?
Bring hammer. It's been a while.
So
I feel like I'm getting the hang of the switch hacks now. The only thing is like figuring out the parry timings. It's a pretty fun weapon though, actually. I posted it, by the way.
Okay. Oh, I think we're not in a link group anymore, so.
Well,
it
they could
doesn't
join the
Yeah.
with the lobby ID, I think, right?
Yes. I keep waiting for it to
Oh, to pop
tell
up.
me that you send an invite.
Yeah, you can invite me if you want.
Oh, here we go. No, we got a full group there.
Okay, cool.
Let me check. Should check my map.
commencing quest now. Are you prepared? A supply shipment. Hope you find something useful.
Yeah, I think this is like the best investigation I've ever seen. It's like every gem is like 2 or 3 in the rewards.
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
nuts.
crazy.
All right. Did he leave again? Oh my god.
I guess so, yeah. It's weird.
Oh no. Withdrawn from quest. Superman dive save.
Yeah, there's a gem that lets you Superman dive forward. It's like
Oh, I
so
saw
good.
that. I saw that, yeah.
I want to hit some parries, damn it. Can't see. Hammer's like the biggest boss at times, honestly. That was... I should have tried to parry that. I'm so greedy with the full, like the full release or whatever it's called. Can't help myself. One person DC'd. What? I guess you want to roll the other direction. You want to roll towards his center. I don't know if I can counterattack that. I tried.
That helped.
Ah, I want to parry so badly. It's so hard. It's awkward too, because like the parry inputs are different depending on like what weapon you're using, or like which form you're in. This should hit him right in the face. Nice. No stagger though.
I noticed Dust has a really short range on it now. I think it used to be like across the arena.
Everyone's getting DC'd or leaving, I don't know. Weird. Yo, what's up, Blanks?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cases where I was doing multiplayer and people were just joining and leaving.
A lot of the time when I would SOS flare, I would just get DC'd right away.
Oh.
Like the moment I finally got in. But luckily, if you SOS flare, you'll like keep the mission that you joined into, even if everyone DCs.
Cool.
So you can still finish it by yourself. Wrong button.
Stuff here? They keep kicking our palicos out.
Grab me.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh. Oh! Dude, all of us. Holy shit. Damn.
Scary.
That was practically just like a full fail in one go.
Yeah. Dude, it's so hard to fucking tell what this bastard is doing. This is like such a bad spot to fight. I wish you could roll to cancel that. Okay. Nice.
Woof.
What weapon have you been playing, Blanks? Were you doing switch axe as well? Or I've been using like everything, but I'm using switch axe right now. What the fuck? Yo, the spider is like tripping up. Wait, do you see this?
I see him walking into the wall. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sneak attack. Yoink. Oh, wait. You see him still chilling? Oh, wait.
He was over here. I don't know what's
Oh,
good.
yeah, he
was
just
bugged.
teleported. Oh, good night.
I shall embrace this and
Fucking Rove. What the heck? This is just... Started with the Great Sword, but grew to enjoy the Charge Blade more. Yeah, Charge Blade's really, really good. Great Sword's fun, but the offsets are really hard to do.
Oh, he's got a wound.
Great Sword, you really need to, like, know the monsters well.
Oh, no.
Alright, you can't place traps here. Guess we kill.
Yeah, he's pretty dead in this.
Can you capture it while it's on the ground like that? I don't know.
I was like, I don't know, inches away from landing my Helm Splitter when he died. It was like so unsatisfying.
Helm Splitter is like, I find it really hard to aim sometimes, even with like the L2 in the air. Like it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's really awkward. Like a lot of time I'll try to re-angle myself and then I'll just like miss completely because of it.
Nice. I think everybody that joined and got DC'd still got the quest though, so it's
Yeah.
it's almost better.
Look at this, look at these
Deco
rewards.
rolls.
Look at these fucking rewards, chat. My voucher got me 5 extra gems. Alright.
What did? Oh, your voucher?
Yeah. It got me
5
16
extra?
16 extra items total. Like, look at this. Look, this isn't like it's ridiculous actually. Chain jewel. I don't think I've seen that yet. Jumping jewel.
Nothing great for me.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't even really know what's like best, anyways.
Yeah. I just want to see those attack gens.
There isn't really anything to spend the money on at the moment. Like you can like making weapons and like reinforcing gear. It's kind of expensive, but yeah. How do I get rid of? How do I make it stop searching?
Are you still doing repo today?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for the go ahead from the other people. I'm not sure. Why do you ask? You're just curious?
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if you're still doing it, and then also if there's room or if you guys filled it, but if there is room, I might consider doing it.
Okay.
I do need to step away and get some lunch, though.
Gotcha. I think, yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I'll be right back.
Okay. One of the sticks in the revert. Oh, oh, I'm blind. Revert to default. I see. What is Counter-Strike? Oh, after being knocked back. The people were saying that the Gore Magala set is good. Doesn't seem that good. I mean, maybe because of the sockets? I don't know, evade window doesn't seem that great. Oh, the weapon. Yeah, no problem, Schloopsy. Yeah, I mean, I already have level 5 weakness exploit. I'm just thinking if it's possible. It's just annoying because, like, a lot of my armor doesn't really have good sockets, but I guess that's the trade-off from getting weakness exploit on the armor. You know? Like, a lot of them are level 1 sockets. I just wish I had some, like, level 2 sockets, but... yeah. It seems like if it has good sockets on it. Oh yeah, there is Frenzy from the set bonus, that's true. Yeah, it's, I feel like my armor set is honestly pretty fucking good at this point. Like, I don't know, there probably could be a little bit more min-maxing to it, but I feel like I made a pretty good build. I mean, weakness exploit is such a good skill. Like, these are, I mean, sorry, I've done this quite a few times now, but, so, like, these are all my skills right now, in case anybody's curious. I've got critical eye 3, level 3 dragon because I have a dragon weapon. I have rapid morph for the switch axe, slugger 2, weakness 5, flare 5, part breaker 3. I mean, I've got like all the like damage, and although I guess flare increases non-elemental damage. Okay, so I'm curious, if a weapon has an element on it, does it still do like normal damage too, or does it purely do elemental? Like it's an additional damage, right? So it's like flare still boosts like it's both. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It like I can't really add anything else. At this point I need to like, it's like a trade-off kind of thing, right? Where yeah, I don't know. I would need to get rid of like weakness exploit or some stuff if I wanted to.
Well, what can I do? Sure.
If I wanted to switch. It's like procs, okay.
Shebar.
I mean, we have the Guardian Arkfeld bonus as the Decimator bonus as well. Not that it's that great, but... Yeah, I already fully upgraded my weapon. That's why it's at such high affinity. Honestly, I feel like I do like really, really good damage at this point.
Alright, warmed up some pizza.
What are we making today?
Nice.
I'm gonna try and go
Like
grab
bread?
the fuchsium ore I need.
Okay.
Make a charge while I just nom on pizza and stuff.
Wait, I
Ramus
just...
says he's got a quest that drops 21 decorations.
Jesus, 21?
That's what he
That's
says.
crazy. Are they like high level? I guess they must be high level decos. Yeah, we can do that. I just made the same fucking talisman, chat. I thought I was upgrading it.
Anything catch your eye?
Oh, I think I know what happened. I'm a fucking idiot. I think I made 2 level 1s and I was upgrading the level 1 to level 2. I don't know. I thought I was gonna say I would be surprised if it goes up to flare level 3, and I didn't think it would, but well, whoopsies. I don't really know if my gear can get much better at this point, really. I mean, we could make like a transmog gear set or something, but... if you go try to get Fuxi more, you should, are you already out there?
I just came back to do a geology charm.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you could also just equip the iron armor. I think so
Iron
you should
armor?
have, yeah, you should have it as well.
Does that give geology?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should have that already. You can make loadouts too with the gear.
Nice.
And you can rename them even. I have like hunt, mining, gathering, stuff like that.
Nice. Is it loadouts the same as your item, like your bars, or?
No, it's just gear loadout.
Okay, so view loadout on an equipment. Ah, I see. Okay.
I'm using Switch Axe right now. I'm not sure when we're gonna play Repo though. Surely soon. Is Lepa streaming?
don't have the iron armor, but I'm sure it's super easy to craft.
Wait, really? You sure?
I didn't see anything. And wait,
Huh.
is it only like the chest piece or something, or?
Oh, it's chainmail.
Oh,
Plus,
chainmail.
some of it's called chainmail, or maybe it's all
I know
called
that's
chainmail. Okay, yeah, my bad.
Oh, you're good. Nice. Okay, let me check it.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom, chat. I'll be right back.
Okay, nice. I got a loadout for it.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I might look for some camps, I guess.
Okay.
There's one zone where I don't have like any. I think, is it the ruins? Tempered Jindhad. Let's save that. There's got to be like one more camp I can set up here.
Oh my god. Okay, I just got a quest that has like, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 9 Artian parts.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Tempered Arkveld and Tempered New Udra.
Yeah, if you're super lucky, you can get one with like 20 parts, like same with the gems. But
Oh, wait.
it's like a dual investigation.
Hold on, wait, 2, 4. Yeah, it's 18. 18 ancient weapon fragments.
Oh damn. Okay, yeah, that's pretty
And
pretty good.
4 gems. Damn. Yep.
Let's see, Ice Shard Cliffs. We have 4 safe camps. Oh, Oil Well Basin. Okay, this is where we need to get some new ones. My camps suck here. Wait, I'm confused. I have... Are these like not pop-up camps? It just depends on the location of the camp. No, okay, right, okay, no, never mind, I'm stupid. I have 3 camps set, but... Yeah, they're all like... There's gotta be one down here in the limestone cavern. Yeah, I want to find some other ones if I can.
For a quick break.
I think there should be one maybe over here. Or maybe in here, up here. Some are by default safe. Well, yeah, but they're safe because they're in a good location, right? You can't make them safe. Like,
This is a perfect campsite.
yeah.
Look at this.
It's mainly just for fast travel. I've just been getting annoyed trying to get around the map sometimes, and I like don't have a good camp to travel to. That seems pretty good, honestly. Having one down here. Wonder where else. We have a camp on this layer. Camp. Oh, I bet there's one right here. That'll be good. I think that should be
Materials
perfect.
I gathered in your item box.
How do you set up pop-up camps when you're actually in the wild? Yeah, you just use the camping kit, but if you have too many set, then you can't add more. There's like a limit to how many pop-up camps you can have.
A potential target has appeared. Check your map when you're ready.
Probably should have traveled. I'm just gonna let my character auto-run though. Wait, look at campsite. Oh. I don't know, No Mercy. I'm trying to figure that out right now when we're gonna play. Yeah, this has got to be a camp spot, surely. Wait, how do I... Oh.
Look at all the caterpillars. This place must be safe. And each step forward brings me a new discovery.
Found, some new camp spots.
Nice. I
Yeah.
haven't found any ore yet.
Really?
Any of the
Oh, the
fusium ore.
Fusium, the Fushram ore is only from a specific map.
Nah, I know. I farmed it
Oh,
before. It just,
okay, you're on the right one. Gotcha,
I'm
gotcha.
getting no luck.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me, from what I
Yeah.
remember. Not sure what Lepa's up to. I was getting fisted. The farm system is so weak. What do you mean? Like, there's not enough grinding, or do you mean like getting materials, like the material delivery stuff? Yeah, there's not many sleep herbs. That's true. Yeah, we could do some melding, while Lobos is busy with that. All right. All right. There's probably a better one in this location, I guess, but don't see anybody use max potion. You don't need to use max potion though. I don't think it. But I mean, all right. Let's see. How much Mandragora do I have? I have 117. Like, so the thing is, the materials, in my opinion, are just as easy. Like, so the... Here, I can show you. So I'm at 4 out of 16, right? If you really, really desperately need materials, you can rest. And sometimes you're gonna want to rest to, like, try to get new investigations to pop up on the map. But, like... So, like, if you're looking for investigations, just... So, like, every time you rest, I'm pretty sure he gets 2 more items, or maybe even... Yeah, so he gets 2, like, 2 more. And then... So, like, if you're sitting there farming, like, investigations on the map, like, looking for good ones, then you can easily just get a fuck ton of supplies.
Yes. I can help you
That's
source
why I have so
materials.
many. Yeah, just don't get hit, true.
Okay. Bye.
But yeah, I have like more than enough loot. I was a little concerned about it at first, but I think it's fine, honestly. You get even more supplies than you do in like World. I'm pretty sure I have like 400 sleep herbs at this point. Uh, 200. Oh, we're actually out of trank bombs in our storage. Oh, we need more parashrooms.
Yes.
The people from Azuz told me to tell you they said hello.
Do we have any level 3 parashrooms? The game is a little on the easier side, but I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's hard to say because Monster Hunter World was my first game, my first Monster Hunter game, and I died a good amount in World, like throughout the campaign, but I also feel like that was because I was like learning and I was new to the game. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Leppa's ready whenever. Gotcha. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people have experience, so. I think we might play Repo chat in a minute. I don't. Hold on, let me see. I don't know who our 6th is gonna be. Do you want to do repo, Lobos?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna get these 3 mining things. Are we swapping over now?
Yeah. Let me double check, but I think so. Hold on. I'm on the Ella stream chat.
Wait, where's all my light blue vials? What? Oh, I didn't make them. Okay, you know what? That's fine though. It's alright. She can heal instead now. She has more potions. That didn't stop the second one?
Ella won't come. Bullshit. He's gotta play.
This is so busted, dude. Like, I can't have 2 RNG partners for this fight. I'm gonna have to reset. Try to figure some other partner out.
I'm getting donut walled. One sec, guys.
Imagine if they would just hit the second circle there. Free. It would be free. Maybe I should just try to nuke this guy and hope I hit him.
Well, I got 0
Seems to
fusion.
be the way to do it with this setup.
I'm pretty sure it's in the oil well basin.
Because you can hit him. The odds are just low.
But
Yeah, he's fighting the ring boss in Funger.
Oh, he's poisoned. Yo, that's big. Maybe? She's dead. Wait, shit. Yo, what up? Oh, we're repoing? Yeah, we can do that. I'm like hard stuck here. Let me try this attempt. I don't think it's gonna work out, but I'll try it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna do repo now. Having a hard time. Oh.
Huh?
What?
I said sweet.
Oh, I thought you said wait. I was like,
Oh, wait. I might have been doing the wrong area for Fushim, it turns out.
Yeah. I figured. Wait, where is it? Basin,
I thought
right?
I thought it was no Gratium's ice. I know that.
Gratium is
But
ice,
that-
yeah.
But that Fushim was the hot place,
Hmm.
the oil place. So I was doing that. Someone said they just Googled and it said Wyveria.
I went
doing
through
that.
this exact same thing you've been through. Is it not in Wyveria either?
Well, not yet, but I haven't done that many, so.
Hmm. It is like the rare one, I think.
Yeah. I keep getting Nova crystals, and those are rare, but I don't know. I'm gonna hit like these 3 nodes and then I'm gonna swap.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start hosting. I'll leave the Discord call, I guess.
Okay.
So we don't-
Yeah. Sounds good.
There. Okay, chat. I'm gonna change my title. May do some more Monster Hunter after we're done with Repo. Not 100% sure. But yeah, we're gonna do some Repo now again. Hope you guys enjoyed it last time.